All right, welcome to Jazz St. Louis in the Farron Jazz Bistro located in the Stewart Center down in Grand Center. My name is Victor Goines. I'm the president and CEO of Jazz St. Louis, and I just want to introduce you to this fantastic group of the future of jazz. We call them the Kind of Blues Sextet for this week. However, they all are alums of the Juilliard School, and they're put together or curated to celebrate the Miles Davis Centennial. So on my immediate left, I have Dominick Farinacci, who will be playing the trumpet and assuming the role of Miles Davis. No pressure, my friend.
Yeah, not at all. Man, thank you.
Diehl, who's a pianist and our musical director. Sharel Cassity, who's playing alto saxophone. Jon Irabagon, playing the tenor saxophone on the second row, where the rhythm section usually is at most of the time anyway. On my immediate left will be Yasushi Nakamura on the bass, and on the drums we have Kimmel. And we're just here to kind of casually talk a little bit about what's going to happen this week at Jazz St. Louis. So, Aaron, we were talking a little bit about the fact that Miles Davis is an alum of the Juilliard School. When did he attend the Juilliard School?
He was just there for, I think, 3 semesters between 1944 and 1945.
Cool. And as a Juilliard alum, I mean, how do you think that how do you relate to that, what you did at Juilliard and what Miles Davis did in his time?
I mean, Miles Davis had a very different experience because Juilliard did not have a jazz program. And so, in fact, the reason why he left was he found the training to be too rigid, for he was on 52nd Street playing with Bird, right? 1945. So I think a certain element of the school kind of turned him off, so he decided he wasn't going to do it anymore. But ironically, I think later it's documented him saying that it was so important for him to be exposed to people like Alban Berg and Igor Stravinsky and their music, and he checked out a lot of that music during his younger years. So, but fortunately, we all had the privilege of having the jazz program that you started in 2001. So there's a big difference between Miles Davis and his experience, and I'm assuming all of our experiences at the school.
Great. So we have musicians who are going to be on the bandstand. I started in 2001. Dominick was one of the first students to graduate from there. And Aaron Kimmel, he was of this group of people on the stage. He graduated in 2010. So Dominick, what was it like for you the first time at the Juilliard School?
Well, you were the director. It was amazing. You hired us for the gig, so I mean, no complaints. It was incredible. I mean, the weight of just the thought, like after all these years, Juilliard finally established a jazz studies program. There were only 18 of us that first year, so it was, in every way, it was really wonderful to be out like on the ground of, the very first year of anything. And I think, like fast forward a few years, like, as establishing our own projects and our own kind of paths, like we learned a lot seeing how all of you were kind of threading together the program and at the beginning, the beginning stages. But to just be surrounded by so much incredible talent in that group is wonderful.
Great. Sharel, I'm actually working on a PhD about women in jazz, so, and you were one of very few women who attended the program. And as a matter of fact, if I remember correctly, Renee Cruz and you came in at the same time. Yeah. Renee is a great bass player who still lives in New York, right? But what was it like for you attending Juilliard?
When I look back on my days at Juilliard, I look back on it as a time that really did change my life, my trajectory, as far as how I was thinking about myself as an artist, as a musician, and being able to play with peers every day that would challenge me as well as we would challenge each other. And it was an enormous growing experience to have your feet on the ground in New York and at the same time be pushed every single day at school.
Great.
To have a great private teacher. I learned a lot from Mr. Goines. And it was an incredible experience.
Great. And Nakamura, you're actually handling the bass chair of this whole Kind of Blue thing. What is it like for you to be the PC of the group? Paul Chambers, for those who don't know who PC is.
Oh, I'm honored. It's big shoe to fill, But you gotta study PC no matter what. If you're a doctor, you gotta study this and that. If you're a bass player, you definitely gotta study PC. So,
Great.
It's honored to be here.
Aaron, you're the young man of the group. Truly the young man of the group. What's it like for you as a role as a drummer inside of this historic group that Miles Davis had during that time in 1959, and now you're playing it in 2025.
It's a significant responsibility, and I had the fortune of being able to hear Jimmy Cobb a million times, get to know him a little bit, which no one else in this group did with their respective instrument. They were all gone by then. So that's something I'm so glad to have gotten to New York when I did, to be able to catch him and a whole host of people that just even in the last 10, 15 years are all gone now. But yeah, it's glad I can pay tribute to him in any way.
Great. Dominick is obviously holding the chair of Miles Davis. Sharel is holding the chair of Cannonball Adderley. John, you're holding the chair of John Coltrane in this whole kind of blues sextet. What's up?
I mean, that's just an impossible feat, as I've tried before. But really, it's about carrying the spirit on and the forward momentum, and just Train figured out, forged his own path. And for me, more than the notes or the extra harmonies on top of that, it's the spirit and the idea of pushing forward and finding your own voice is way more important than any of the other stuff.
One thing I always remember when I see you all together, as educators, you never know what is going to be retained about what you say. And I remember Aaron wrote something in a 20th anniversary book for jazz at Lincoln Center at the time. And it was basically the statement that I used to tell you all: figure it out, try to get along, because y'all going to end up playing together more. Do you know over time? What is that like for you now, Diehl?
Yeah, no, I think about that quite a bit, actually, because we're 20 years later. We're all collaborating in various configurations, and it's a very, very small world, and I think it gets smaller as we all get older. To forge a path committed to playing this music, it's very difficult, not only in terms of the craft itself, but also in terms of making a living doing it. And so you only encounter, as you only encounter, as time goes on, a very small, I guess in a way, elite group of people who have dedicated their lives to it. So
Great. What are y'all going to be playing tonight, and throughout the week, for that matter?
Well, we're going to, of course, be playing music from the album Kind of Blue, which was, I think it's still the best-selling jazz album of all time. But we're also going to play pieces that were part of the group's repertoire around that time. It's interesting, you mentioned the horn players, John Coltrane, Cannonball Adderley, and Miles, of course. Well, there were two piano players.
That's right.
Okay, Bill Evans, who made significant contributions to the concept of Kind of Blue, which is it really focused on modality, sitting in one tonality for a while before going to another tonality. And so, of course, he wrote the liner notes to it. But Wynton Kelly was actually at that time his working pianist. And in fact, Bill Evans, I think he got really run down ragged touring with Miles. He did a brief tour with him, I think, in around 1958, and it was pretty rough on him. So Wynton Kelly was had the piano chair. However, for this album, Wynton only contributed to Freddie Freeloader. Okay, and there's actually a famous story I was reading. There's a great book that I read about Kind of Blue by Ashley Kahn. And I guess Wynton Kelly showed up in the session wondering why Bill Evans was there. He's like, am I fired or something like that? And Miles said, no, you're on the session too, sit down. And so there's a whole thing about that. So anyway, yeah, so it's going to be a kind of mix of repertoire of the band at that time. On Griefendorfen Street, Fran Dance, what else? Love for Sale.
Great. Well, if you have the time, and I hope you will have the time, come to Jazz St. Louis, come to the Fair & Jazz Bistro at the Stewart Center. They don't get to play together like this very often. In fact, I heard one of the members tell another member, man, I haven't seen you in 15 years. So come out, check them out. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and it's going to be right here at the Fair & Jazz Bistro. Thank you all so much. See you downtown.